Sometimes, the work is so, you try to be true. You feel sometimes it's on the verge of a kind of craziness, but it isn't really craziness. It's really getting the truest part of yourself out, and it's very hard, I mean, it's not easy, let's say. And yet it can be very simple at the same time.
Hello and welcome back to Musings with Mary. This is Mary Muse, your host, and today we're going to be talking about the Chariot card. If you don't know, it's Cancer season. Soon I'll be coming out with my Cancer love letter episode. But this week we're going to be looking at the Chariot card from the tarot because that is the card that corresponds to the energy of Cancer. We actually just had our tarot circle in That Witch School for Cancer season earlier this week. And we did our meditation based around the Chariot card. And I thought that this would be the perfect week for me to dive a little deeper into it on the podcast to give you guys all the info that I learned as I was doing my research. It is a very symbolically deep card. There's just a lot of little symbols and callbacks to other cards within this card's imagery. And of course, we're talking about the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. If you're someone that's unfamiliar with the imagery of the tarot deck, specifically the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, then I would encourage you to either look up this card or you can go over to my YouTube channel where I'll have a picture of the card on the video throughout this podcast so you can reference it. I'll be so honest with you guys. I'm recording this episode in little chunks because I've spent the last week and a half being very sick, just unable to get rid of this silly little cough and congestion that I've been dealing with. So my voice is a little bit raspy today. I'm doing my best to make sure that I'm not coughing on microphone. So thank you for your patience if there's any little pauses in this episode. What I want to start with is the official definition from one of my favorite tarot resources, which is Labyrinthos, Labyrynthos. It is a website and an app. If you've been wanting to learn tarot, I highly recommend it. I think that they have really, really great definitions and tools within their website and their app. One thing that they do on their website, which I really love, is they actually include the imagery for 4 of the most popular tarot decks, not just the Rider-Waite-Smith, but the Tarot de Marseille, the Seven Sphere Tarot, and the Thoth Tarot deck. So it's kind of cool to see how each of these cards are a little bit different. But anyway, we're going to see what they say for their upright chariot meaning. This is what Labyrinthos says for the Chariot card. The Chariot Tarot card is all about overcoming challenges and gaining victory through maintaining control of your surroundings. This perfect control and confidence allows the charioteer to emerge victorious in any situation. The use of strength and willpower are critical in ensuring that you overcome the obstacles that lie in your path. The Chariot's message comes to make you stronger as you strive to achieve your goals. The key message that they bring to you is that you must maintain focus, confidence, and determination through a process that will be full of winding turns and detours. If you have a plan or a project that you seem not to be sure about, the Chariot shows that you should pursue the plan with a structured and ordered approach. Your boldness will ensure that you achieve all that you should in this goal. In the Chariot's quest for their goal, they may display some behavior that they've never seen within themselves before. Competition and a desire to succeed has perhaps brought out a more aggressive part of their personality. Aggression is a natural part of human nature, and the Chariot reminds you that it can also be used to help you take charge of your situation, but also must be reined in so that it does not hinder your way forward. Very interesting point about aggression at the end there. So interesting. Usually when people pull this card in a reading, we take it as a message to move forward. Just a few years ago, right now we're in a year 9. Just a few years ago, we had a year 7, which was the year of the Chariot. And in that year, everybody was talking about it's time to move forward with your plans. It's time to venture and be brave and, get to those dreams that you've been dreaming up through methodical, forward-moving action. And I think it's so interesting to think about, those descriptions I just gave you, and then try to tie it to Cancer energy, because Cancer has this reputation of being like the mother energy of the zodiac, right? This like nurturing kind of water-like, very empathic, very intuitive, and very nurturing. But Cancer is also represented by the crab, right? So there's this hard shell exterior kind of aspect to the Cancer energy. And I like to think of it also as like mother bear energy. Like you don't want to fuck with the Cancer, especially when it comes to the people or the things that they love. Cancer is a cardinal sign as well. And we'll go a little bit more into that, that kind of stuff whenever I do my Cancer love note. But I love to see this it's kind of a masculine looking card whenever you see it. Whenever you look at this Rider-Waite-Smith version of this card, it seems to be a masculine figure standing within the Chariot. But I like that Cancer rules over this because it shows that like Cancer's not just this one-dimensional mother energy that a lot of popular astrology has kind of attached it to. I want to dig into the symbolism behind this card in this episode today because I think it really ties in more of the Cancer energy rather than just this like strong, aggressive energy that we see in a lot of descriptions. I think that the aggression kind of energy could definitely be attributed to that cardinal energy, right? Because the cardinal signs are the signs that are self-starters. They are not afraid to get shit going and make it work. So this card definitely has that energy behind it because it's like, let's go, let's do it, let's get it done, right? But there's way more than what meets the eye to this card as well. And I want to start by talking about its numerology. So the number 7 in the tarot deck is all around willpower and control. If we look through the suits, in all the 7s in the suits, they center around this idea of willpower and control and what the decisions that we make around those aspects of ourselves. So this card is very much connected to decision making, especially because we have we have this dualistic imagery between the 2 sphinxes that are pictured on it. If you are unfamiliar with what the Chariot card looks like, let me describe it for you really quickly. We see a yellow sky in the background. There's a big city followed by little trees and some kind of bridge over a body of water that looks like a river. Then in the foreground, we have a big chariot. On this chariot, it's made of stone. It has a canopy that's covered in this blue fabric that's filled with stars. The charioteer himself is wearing this armor with these 2 moons on his shoulder. The one moon has like a happier expression and the other moon has a more sad or angry expression. They wear this star crown. They hold a wand in their hand. And on the front of the chariot, there's this shield that contains the yoni and the lingam, as well as 2 wings sprouting from it. And then in the front, we have two sphinxes, one black, one white. So it's very, there's a lot going on in this picture. And we're going to be talking about what all of these different things means. But first we'll start with the sphinxes. So anytime we have a black and white or a set of two things within a tarot card, that card centers around the idea of choice and making decisions. So that's certainly an aspect of this card. In the description that I read from Labyrinthos, it talks about like the road may be winding. You will have to adjust to this. You can move forward with an organized approach, but also it's this energy of like, you're going to have to decide what to do here, right? In order to create an approach, create a structured approach, you have to make decisions. And anytime we see, there are certain cards that have pillars in the background that are black and white or gray. And this color comparison is very important because anytime we see black and white, it's all about opposing forces, duality. Okay. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of what we talked about in the Lover's card. The Lover's card is also another card that has a lot to do with decisions because of the mirror-like imagery on it. So that's what I wanted to mention first, is that this is about like making the decision to move forward, and along the road, understanding that you're going to have to continue to use your authority to make decisions as you move forward, because the path may not be straight. You're going to have to take some turns, right? Then I want to talk about the background of this card. When we think about the number 7 in numerology and its relation to willpower and control, something cool that we can do within the tarot is to divide that number into parts. If we divide that number 7 into 3 and 4, we are reminded of the 3rd and 4th major arcana cards, which are the Empress and the Emperor. The reason I bring them up is because in this background of this card, it is said that the city that's pictured high on the horizon and the forest pictured down below it are actually the city of the Emperor card. If you look at the Emperor card, there's a big city that looks very similar to this, and the forest of the Empress card. So both of these things being present in the background, to me, is kind of like a message of, okay, like we've been on this journey. We've been learning things from all these figures within the deck. If we're approaching tarot as the Fool's journey, as starting from the Fool and working our way through the major arcana, almost like the tale of Hercules, right? Like working through that as the hero of this story. The hero so far has been to the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, and the Lovers. So they've learned a lot. This is like the first part of the Fool's journey. If you go on and study the Fool's journey, this is like where, at number 7 is where the next part of the journey will then start. So this is a pivotal moment within the Fool's journey. And this background showing these, showing the city and the forest of the Emperor and Empress, respectively, is a reminder of everything that you've learned and the duality that is present within the lessons from the Emperor and the Empress, right? Because they both teach us different things, but they're both just as valuable as the next, right? There's also that crest on the front of the Chariot card, which is shaped, of course, like a crest, but it's also said to be shaped like a yoni. If you're unfamiliar with what yoni means, yoni is a Sanskrit word that has been interpreted to literally mean the womb, the source, or the female organs of generation. Conversely, the lingam is pictured on the inside of the yoni, which is, conversely, the symbol that represents the male sexual organs and is an emblem of generative and destructive power. It's commonly commonly associated with the god Shiva. This comes from Hinduism. So this is just like a cool example of how the Rider-Waite-Smith deck contains so many religious symbols from all around the world. And I just love that. I think it's so cool to learn these things as I'm doing my research. I'm like, wow, like another major religion that they threw some little tidbits into here. Like, it's just crazy. But that the fact that they have the lingam and the yoni represented here is another callback to that empress and emperor energy, which is so cool. And I'll just say this little disclaimer, because we talked about gender a lot in the episode about the lovers. And I want to reiterate my stance that, like, the study of divine feminine and divine masculine aspects within various spiritual traditions does not have to be so connected to, like, gender roles or anything like that. Okay. This is not about, like, believing that women always do this, men always do this. This is what a woman looks like. This is what a man looks like. It's not about that. It's just about the duality of the expression of these two genders that exist, right? And we understand that in nature, even though there's a lot of misinformation about this, some people would have you believe that in nature, gender roles are very defined, and that, like, alpha male, the whole idea of alpha male apparently comes from the study of wolves, but it's completely untrue. If you look this up, the whole alpha male pack mentality thing that people have kind of attached themselves to is actually pseudoscience. It's not real. It's not really how wolves work in nature, and it's not how the rest of nature works as well. If we look across all kinds of different species, sex is very, very varied, we'll just say, across all different kinds of species. And it's not always the females that are the nurturers. Take lions, for example. The females are the hunters in that situation. There are a lot of different things that we can look at in nature that shows us how gender is a construct, and it exists within a certain set of parameters and expectations. So I actually love to tie that back into what I talked about earlier in this episode, which was the whole, like, preconceived notion that Cancer is this very mother-like, very nurturing type of energy, and to push back on that, and to also remember that Cancer is the crab. Cancer is not afraid to pinch you when they need to. They have this ability to tap into all of it, right? And I just like to say my little disclaimers about the divine masculine, divine feminine energy thing, because I think a lot of spiritual creators use that as a way to reinforce patriarchal gender stereotypes and gender roles. And I don't think I think we can still study the way that we have historically viewed divine feminine, divine masculine in spiritual practices without tying it to our gender expression and the ways that we interact in our society. I think we can see it as a scale that exists within us, and to understand that, like, we all have these aspects of ourselves inside of us, and it's not it's not bad if you are a person that is seen as feminine, but you have more of these divine masculine traits, right? It's actually good. It makes you a more well-rounded person to have a little bit of all of it, right? And that's kind of what I see it as. My tarot teacher, Bahati Life, always talked about it in that way, where, like, when we're working with divine feminine or divine masculine energy, we're figuring out the harmony between them. That's what we're really trying to do, is to find the balance between the two, because we all need a little bit of both, right? So this card is a perfect combination of that. This is another one of those kinds of perfect beings. This is like a manly type of looking character, but they're wearing this like moon armor and shrouded in this star fabric. So they're very ethereal. They're very much connected to that moon energy, which is what rules Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So it's super interesting how they did that. I love that. And speaking of the charioteer themselves, you'll notice that this chariot, when you're looking at the image, does not have any kind of reins. There's no way for this charioteer to control the sphinxes. The sphinxes are just there. They're not even tethered to the chariot, but they hold a wand in their hand. The charioteer has this wand, which is reminiscent of the magician, which is number 1 in the major arcana. And the magician taught us how to use our own, combination of elements within our surroundings to manifest the reality that we see within our minds, to bring it from, our subconscious to the conscious. And that's another thing we're going to be talking about with this card, but I digress. This wand within the charioteer's hand is the power to steer this chariot forward. So they use their inner magic in order to run this whole system and move forward in this vessel. We centered our whole meditation around that aspect of this card because I thought that was a good thing for us to focus on. If you're liking this card and you're interested in my guided meditations around these cards that I've been talking about on the episodes lately, then I really encourage you to check out that Witch School. There are replays for each of our tarot circles that we do every month. So even if you're not able to join them live, you can watch them at your own convenience and also be able to sit with us for this guided meditation that I made for these cards. Anyway, so speaking of the subconscious and conscious idea, as I was researching this card, I saw a lot of people talking about how the chariot itself is supposed to be seen as the subconscious energy. And the charioteer, I should say, is seen as the conscious, bringing our subconscious to the conscious and controlling it with that wand to move us forward into the physical realm, right? So we're moving from our dreams, which I love. I love that the chariot has that starry sky kind of look to it, because it really does speak to, we're bringing our thoughts into reality here. And that's where it ties back into that description that I read in the beginning, where this card is all about taking action, taking decisive action to move forward into the things that we have been, like the passions that we have been thinking about. So this card is very much about manifestation and working with our subconscious wants, needs, dreams, and bringing those into our conscious awareness so that we can make it happen. So when we get this card, it's actually a very empowering type of card. Sometimes it can be a little scary if you're afraid to move forward with something, but let it be fuel for you. Let it be something that really boosts your confidence, because this is a message that you have what it takes. You have everything you need. You have this wand, you have the powers to take what you wish your life looked like and start to bring it into reality. And this might be through small steps at first, right? But the more small steps we take, the farther we get, right? So it'll never start if you don't take that first step. So when we do get the Chariot card, and this month we're working with the Chariot energy since it is Cancer season and this card is ruled by Cancer. This is the energy of Cancer season according to the tarot deck. So I want to read a couple other little things that are on my little training deck that I have here. some little keywords for you for this card. So you can write these down and maybe let these things be the, inspiration for you in this coming Cancer season. The Chariot's keywords are movement, progress, action, integration, determination, willpower, control, direction, departure, and courage. So I hope that you found this episode interesting. I hope you enjoyed all those little symbolic meanings as much as I do, because I always find it so interesting to dive deeper into these cards. There's so much more that we could even talk about, but these were just the things that really stuck out to me in my research over this last week, and I thought that I'd come on here to share with you guys. So I hope that you found it interesting. Thank you so much for listening. And again, if you're interested in seeing my little guided meditations in action, you can check out That Witch School in the show notes. And I will see you guys for the next episode. Have a great week. You can visit marymusexoxo.com to see all of Mary's links. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all your favorite listening platforms. And if you feel inclined, leave a 5-star review for us. Musings with Mary is listener sponsored, so if you'd like to support the podcast, please check out our Patreon. Shout out to all our current patrons. Thank you so much for the support. We'll see you in the next episode.